The orbital station Banyan Ring drifted like a jewel in the black emptiness of space. Traders hustled along its docking ports. Merchants called out their wares, and lights flickered along the endless corridors connecting habitation pods to repair docks. Amidst the chaos, most beings overlooked the small human tug, Mend, which hummed quietly in a side bay. Commander Aria Vel adjusted the controls of her ship, her fingers moving with steady precision. Humans were a minority here, often underestimated. Others saw them as fragile, polite, or naive, but Aria knew better. A human could survive anywhere if they were clever, patient, and willing to take risks when it mattered. Her crew, though small, was loyal. Mika, a wiry engineer with a constant streak of grease on his face, monitored the ship's engines. Ren, the pilot, leaned back in the seat, idly scanning traffic lanes on the displays. And Sully, their AI companion, projected a calm, soft blue glow over the control panel. "Commander, sensors picking up unusual debris pattern ahead," Sully said in its measured tone. "Micro-ember field. Uncharted density," Arya's eyes narrowed. "How unusual?" "Higher than safe navigation level," Sully replied. "Probability of hull damage 37% without precise maneuvers," Arya smirked. "Then we'll be careful. Keep the course steady. Let's see what's hiding in that field." They approached the field, a sparkling storm of tiny asteroids and molten fragments drifting silently through orbit. Humans were often underestimated in such situations because other species relied heavily on brute force or pre-programmed algorithms. Arya relied on instinct. She felt the hum of her ship, read the subtle shifts in trajectory, and made adjustments that no autopilot could match. Suddenly, a blip appeared on the long-range scanner, a freighter drifting without power. Its shape was unusual, elongated, with glowing panels dimmed to almost nothing. "Dead in the field," Mika said, peering over the console. "Looks like someone forgot to check their thrusters." Arya frowned. "Looks like they need help. Patch me in, Sully." The communications line buzzed. A low, guttural voice spoke in broken trade pidgin. Who comes?" Arya straightened in her seat. "I'm Commander Aria Vel of the salvage tug Mend. I see your freighter is stranded. We can help. No payment needed." There was a pause and then a cautious response. "Help, welcome. But how?" Arya took a deep breath. "Follow my instructions exactly. I'll guide you out of the ember field." Mika watched as Arya coordinated with the freighter's crew. Her calm, firm voice carried authority without threat. Slowly, using tethered lines and remote thruster guidance, they nudged the freighter free from the ember storm. Sparks flew as small fragments bounced off their hulls. But Arya's precise maneuvers kept everyone safe. Finally, the freighter's engines roared to life, sending a small cheer through the channel. "Thank you," said a voice with more warmth than the others had shown. "You saved lives." Arya smiled, feeling the familiar glow of satisfaction. Humans were built to act first and think about reward later. It was a habit she had carried all her life. One of the freighter's crew stepped forward, an elderly being with textured bronze skin and deep-set eyes that seemed to see every hidden corner of the universe. He held out a small hand-woven bead, glowing faintly in the dim light of the freighter's bridge. "For your kindness," he said simply. "Keep, remember, help once. Remember." Arya accepted the bead, turning it over in her hand. It was light, almost delicate, but it seemed to hum with life. She nodded. "I'll keep it safe." As she piloted men back toward Banyan Ring, she felt a quiet satisfaction. Humans might be overlooked, but a small act of help could ripple farther than anyone expected. She placed the bead carefully in a pouch at her side. Back at the station, gossip spread quickly. Some traders laughed, claiming humans were foolish to risk themselves for strangers. Others nodded quietly, sharing stories of human ingenuity and bravery. Arya did not mind the opinions. What mattered was that a life had been saved. That evening, she and her crew gathered in the small common deck of Mend. Mika was fiddling with engine panels, Ren was stretching his legs, and Sully projected a soft aurora across the walls to mimic sunlight. "Not bad for a quiet day," Mika said, grinning. "Saved a freighter, didn't get shot, no alien debts." "I'd call it lucky." Arya shook her head. "Not luck, preparation, care, and knowing when to take a risk." "That's human work," Ren laughed. "You mean stubbornness?" "Call it whatever you like," Arya replied, smiling. "It works." As the night passed, the crew slept in shifts, always alert, always ready. But the bead in Arya's pouch began to pulse faintly. as if it were breathing. She awoke briefly, watching the soft light. It was beautiful, mysterious, and alive. Soli's voice interrupted her thoughts. Commander, sensors indicate an object approaching Banyan Ring at high velocity. Unknown classification. Arya's eyes widened. Show me. On the view screen, a comet-like object streaked through space. It moved with purpose, its trajectory aimed directly at the station. She noticed the bead pulsing faster, almost in rhythm with the object's movement. Could be debris, or something worse, Mika muttered, checking the readings. Maybe, Arya said, her voice calm but firm. Or maybe it's time we meet whatever's coming with the same care we used to save that freighter. Ready the ship. We might have to intercept or assist. The crew sprang into action, each member moving as if they had done this 1,000 times. Humans had a way of doing ordinary things in extraordinary ways. Arya held the bead in her hand, feeling its warmth. Whatever comes, she whispered, we help. That's what humans do. As men slid quietly from the docking bay, the black void of space stretched before them, filled with stars and shadows. The approaching object grew larger on the sensors. Its nature remained a mystery, but Arya felt a strange familiarity in its course. Something, or someone, was coming to repay a favor she had not fully understood yet. And somewhere deep in her chest, a quiet thrill rose. Humans remembered kindness, Arya thought. They never forgot. And sometimes the return of that memory could change everything. The ember belt loomed ahead, sparkling and dangerous. The crew tightened their grips on controls.
Arya whispered a final instruction. Steady hands.
Careful eyes, and hearts ready for whatever waits. Mika nodded. Got it, Commander. Ren tapped the console. Here we go. Soli's voice, calm as ever, added, course locked. Initiating approach. The tug slid into the asteroid field, weaving through molten debris and spinning fragments. The bead pulsed brighter now, casting faint shadows across Arya's determined face. Then, from the darkness, a shape emerged. Something large, moving with silent intent. It was not a comet. It was a convoy. Small, fragile vessels clustered together, escaping something unseen. Arya's eyes widened. Life to save, she said softly. Get ready. Humans don't leave anyone behind. The crew nodded in unison. The quiet favor given earlier was about to return, and Arya had no idea just how extraordinary that return would be. In the vast silence of space, one human tug and its crew prepared to face the unknown. The galaxy watched, and somewhere, deep in the echo of stars, the bead pulsed once more. Brighter, alive, and full of promise. The convoy was unlike anything Arya had seen before. Dozens of small, fragile ships drifted through the ember belt, their hulls scratched and worn, trailing thin streams of ionized dust. Some had engines barely functional, while others emitted faint distress signals that screamed of panic. The humans aboard men, however, felt a familiar surge of determination. Commander, Mika said, scanning the fleet. They're fleeing something. Maybe the Wren swarm. We need to act fast. Arya's eyes narrowed. The Wren swarm was not a common threat. It was a techno-predator species, a hive-minded intelligence known for consuming civilizations and leaving nothing behind. But humans had a way of facing danger with ingenuity, not just force. Form rescue corridors, Arya ordered. We'll shepherd them out one at a time. Mika, reroute power to shields. Ren, calculate trajectories through the densest clusters. Soli, relay communication to every ship that can receive it. The crew moved like a well-oiled machine. Men glided through the debris, guiding the convoy, with small vessels slipping in behind like leaves following a stream. Humans often thrived in chaos. Their improvisation, patience, and instinct were unmatched in situations that required subtle adjustments rather than brute force. As the convoy began to stabilize, a new signal appeared on men's scanner. It was a large ship approaching fast, dark in design, sleek yet ominous, and at its center the silhouette of a being Arya recognized immediately, Vorun, the leader of the Zoran freighter she had saved weeks earlier. The Zoran ship halted near the convoy, sending a signal directly to Mend. Arya accepted it, and Vorun's face appeared on the main screen. His bronze skin shimmered under dim lights, and his eyes, deep and solemn, reflected gratitude. You saved us once, Vorun said. His voice was calm, carrying authority without arrogance. Now we return the favor. We owe you more than you realize. Arya's heart thumped. She had not expected a personal response. Most species respected human help but rarely acted on it so directly. "You don't need to," she replied, her voice steady. "I was only doing what any human would do. We help when it matters." Voron tilted his head, his gaze intense. "Few species understand this. That is why humans are remarkable. Your actions have been recorded in the memory strand." Arya's brow furrowed. "Memory strand?" Voron gestured to the small device on his chest, a shimmering lattice of light. "A record of your deed. Every life saved is woven into it. This strand carries a vow. When the need arises, your people may request aid and it will be granted. This is our law. This is our gift." Arya felt a strange warmth in her chest. Humans acted for good, not reward. Yet somehow the universe had a way of returning favors in unexpected ways. Before she could reply, alarms blared. A distant cloud of metallic shapes appeared on the scanners, moving with terrifying coordination. The Wren swarm was closing in, drawn perhaps by the convoy's movement or by something deeper, something only humans could carry. The legacy of the Echo Engine, a long-forgotten human invention. Mika's eyes widened. "Commander, that's a lot of Wren drones, and they're not after us yet. They're after the convoy." Arya's mind raced. "Then we protect them. Humans don't leave anyone behind. Prepare for intercept maneuvers." "All hands, focus!" The convoy was thin, fragile, and scattered, but Mend moved like a shepherd among stars. Arya guided the small ships through safe paths in the Ember Belt, dodging fragments, avoiding collisions, and ensuring none of the fragile crafts were left behind. A small vessel flared suddenly, its shield failing. Arya's voice was sharp but calm. "Mika, emergency tether now." Mika worked quickly, extending a magnetic tether from Mend, catching the ship just as a shard of molten rock threatened to pierce its hull. The rescued crew cheered softly, though fear was still present in their eyes. As they reached temporary safety, Voron reappeared on the view screen. "Commander," he said, "the memory strand will guide you. It carries more than gratitude. It carries instructions, a path if you need it. We owe you nothing less than the truth." Arya frowned. "The truth about what?" Voron's eyes darkened, though his expression remained calm. "About why the Wren swarm hunts what humans once created. There is an engine, a human invention lost to time. It is not a weapon but a network, a connection amplifier, and it is being hunted for control, not for survival." Soli processed the information quickly. "The Echo Engine," it said softly. "Long thought destroyed. Designed to link memory and goodwill across species. Wren seeks dominion, not cooperation. Risk to human settlements is high." Arya's hand tightened around the memory strand bead in her pocket. "Then we find it first. Humans will protect it. We will protect it." The Zoran envoy nodded. "We will aid you. Your request is our law. Prepare to leave the Ember Belt. We chart a safe course toward the Star Hera where the engine may be traced." Arya looked at her crew. Mika's eyes were bright with excitement. Wren's hands were steady, confident in the maneuvers ahead. Soli's calm glow seemed brighter, ready to coordinate. "This is it," Arya said. "We're going beyond the ring, and humans do not hesitate when others need help. Let's move." The convoy formed a fragile chain behind Mend and the Zoran ships, each vessel carefully guided. Arya piloted the tug with precision, weaving through debris and stray Wren probes. Sparks flew from minor collisions, but human improvisation kept the fleet together. As they approached a safe corridor beyond the Ember Belt, Voron stepped aboard Mend through the docking tube, an unusual gesture for a Zoran leader. His presence was imposing but calm. "Commander," Voron said, his voice echoing in the small control room, "the memory strand grants you one request. Ask anything that is within reason and it shall be fulfilled. The favor you granted is now bound to you, to your people." Arya considered this. Humans rarely sought reward. Yet now, with the Echo Engine at stake and the Wren swarm approaching, she realized the opportunity to protect not just lives but the future of multiple species. "I want to find the origin of the Echo Engine," she said finally, "and I want to stop it from falling into the wrong hands." Voron nodded solemnly. "It shall be done. Our navigators have traced its last known coordinates. Hera lies beyond mapped space, but we will guide you." The night passed as the fleet traveled, the stars stretching endlessly around them. Tiki, a young refugee from one of the convoy ships, sat quietly beside Arya in the small observation deck. Her wide eyes reflected both fear and trust. "You saved them, didn't you?" Tiki whispered. Arya smiled gently. "We saved each other. Humans just happened to act first. That's how we survive." Tiki nodded, understanding more than her words conveyed. She handed Arya a small rough drawing she had made of the freighter and the tug. For you. So you remember. Arya accepted it and placed it in her pocket next to the bead. Each act of kindness, each life saved had left its mark, and humans remembered in ways others could not always see. Suddenly, Soli's voice cut through the quiet. Commander, the memory strand is displaying an image. It is a map. Coordinates beyond mapped space with a star circled in an ancient human sigil. Arya's eyes widened. Harawa, she whispered. That's where the engine might be. The favor we returned, it's guiding us there. The crew watched as the faint light from the memory strand pulsed, syncing with the distant hum of the wren swarm closing in. Arya felt the familiar thrill of challenge, of opportunity, of human courage tested beyond measure. Prepare for the unknown, she said, her voice steady. Whatever comes next, we face it together. Humans help. We never forget. And sometimes the return of a favor can change everything. Mika leaned over the console. Do you really think we can reach Harawa before the wren swarm? Arya smiled, a spark of confidence in her eyes. We're human. We always find a way. Keep steady, focus on the path, and trust each other. The convoy, fragile and battered, moved through the void, guided by a small human tug and its crew. Stars flashed past as they slipped through uncharted space, the memory strand lighting the path, the favor they returned now leading them into the unknown. And somewhere in the vast emptiness of the galaxy, a pulse of light echoed the sentiment humans carried wherever they went. One act of help could ripple across the stars. The wren swarm's shadow drew closer, but Arya felt no fear. Humans acted with courage, and in doing so, they often changed the course of history. The quiet favor she had given weeks ago was returning, and when it did, it would blow minds, even in a galaxy as vast and strange as this. The convoy sailed through the black emptiness, stars flickering like distant fireflies. The memory strand pulsed softly, a gentle light guiding Mend and its human crew toward Harawa, the distant star where the Echo engine's trail might finally be found. Arya Vel sat in the pilot chair, her hands steady on the controls. Humans were often underestimated by other species, but she knew their greatest strength lay in their courage, creativity, and stubborn loyalty. The memory strand had reminded her of that. It had recorded her small act of kindness, and now that favor was being returned in a way no one could have predicted. Mika adjusted engine parameters beside her. This star is way off the charts. Navigation is tricky. Some of these coordinates haven't been visited in centuries. Arya nodded. Then we improvise. That's what humans do best. Soli's calm voice filled the cabin. Commander, analysis suggests that wren swarm probes have increased activity in this sector. They may already be aware of the memory strand's pulse. Arya's brow furrowed. Then we move fast and quietly. Protect the convoy and keep the route safe. As the small fleet moved through the void, new worlds appeared on the sensors. Many were uncharted, abandoned stations or silent colonies left by humans long ago. Arya slowed Menda near one such colony, curious. This place looks familiar, she murmured. Maybe someone lived here once. The settlement was overgrown, with metallic structures tangled in vegetation and small lights flickering faintly. A faded human sigil marked the entrance. Arya's heart stirred. Even in the vastness of space, humans left a mark wherever they went, a legacy of ingenuity and care. Wren adjusted the trajectory. Commander, we don't have time for detours. The wren swarm is closing in. I know, Arya replied, but let's scan for life. If humans were here once, we might find clues about the Echo engine. They carefully scanned the settlement. A small signal appeared, weak but alive. A beacon transmitting logs in old human code. Arya felt a spark of hope. Perhaps someone had survived. Perhaps they could help. Prepare a shuttle, she said. We're going down. The crew boarded a small craft and descended to the abandoned colony. The air was thick with dust and plants had begun reclaiming the metal structures. Among the ruins, they found a small control center. A single terminal flickered to life, displaying logs recorded decades earlier by Nail Rook, an engineer whose work had seeded the Echo engine. Tiki, the young refugee, peeked over Arya's shoulder. Are they humans too? She whispered. Yes, Arya said softly, and what they left behind may save many lives. The logs revealed that the Echo engine was never meant as a weapon. It was a network designed to link memory and goodwill across species. Nail Rook had created it to preserve trust, to share acts of kindness, and to strengthen cooperation between civilizations. "This is incredible," Mika said, scanning the terminal. "Humans built this. To help, not to dominate," Arya nodded. "That's who we are. That's why the Wren Swarm wants it. They want control over cooperation itself. But humans, we don't just survive, we connect." Soli's sensors detected movement outside. "Commander, Wren Swarm probes are approaching. They may have detected the colony." Arya's eyes narrowed. "Then we prepare. Humans fight not with brute force alone, but with intelligence, courage, and unity. That's how we defend the defenseless." The Wren Swarm arrived, a swarm of dark metallic shapes that moved with precision and coordination. The convoy was small, fragile, and scattered, but Arya remained calm. She activated men's shields and positioned the fleet in a defensive formation. "Use the terrain," Arya instructed. "Hide behind the structures. Guide the convoy through narrow corridors where their numbers don't matter." Mika adjusted the shields. "Got it, Commander." "But they're fast. Too fast for direct attack." "Then we improvise," Arya said. "Humans always find a way." Using clever maneuvers, Arya guided men through the ruins, luring the Wren probes into narrow tunnels. Mika and Wren created temporary diversions by sending decoy signals and rerouting power to mimic the presence of additional ships. The convoy followed Arya's lead, slipping through the tight corridors while the Wren Swarm's larger formations collided with dead ends. Amid the chaos, the memory strand began pulsing rapidly. Its light expanded, projecting faint images, not memories of events, but maps and instructions left by Nail Rook. The logs contained secrets of navigation, hidden paths, and emergency protocols. Humans, it seemed, had left these clues knowing one day they might be needed. Arya studied the projection. "This is it," she said. "This is how we find the engine before the Wren Swarm does. Follow the strand, trust the instructions, and keep together." The convoy moved as one, guided by the pulse of the memory strand. It led them through uncharted lanes of space, past debris fields and around abandoned stations, each turn marked with subtle clues only a human mind could interpret. During a quiet moment, Tiki approached Arya. "Why do humans help so much?" she asked. Arya smiled gently. "Because helping others makes us stronger, not just in body but in spirit. And when you help, sometimes the universe remembers in ways you cannot imagine." The convoy reached a distant jump gate, long abandoned but still functional. The memory strand illuminated the correct sequence to activate it. The Zoran navigators, usually formal and cautious, looked on in awe as Arya and her human crew solved the ancient protocol through intuition, storytelling, and quick logic. "Humans. Remarkable," Vorin said quietly. "Even the simplest minds see paths others overlook." The jump gate activated, sending the fleet across hundreds of light years in moments. When they emerged, the star Herawa shone before them, a brilliant orange sun surrounded by a cluster of rocky planets and faint gas rings. "This is it," Arya whispered. "The Echo engine must be here somewhere." Soli scanned the system. Sensors indicate a high-density energy node orbiting one of the inner planets. Signature matches historical Echo engine readings. Wren Swarm presence is increasing in the system. Arya nodded. "Prepare for landing. We retrieve the engine, or at least secure it, before they reach it. Humans do not leave important things behind." The convoy descended toward the planet. Its surface was rugged, with canyons and jagged cliffs perfect for hiding a secret installation. The memory strand guided Mend and the others to a plateau where remnants of human structures still stood. Maintenance bays, small gardens and shielded buildings, all overgrown but intact enough to indicate someone had been here not long ago. Mika scanned the structures. It's like time froze. Whoever lived here knew we would come. Suddenly, a soft signal appeared on the comms, a human voice, aged but clear. "If you hear this, follow the memory strand. Trust it, it is your path. Protect the Echo engine, for it is meant to help, not to destroy." Arya's heart raced. "Nail Rook," she whispered. "They left this for us. For humans. For everyone who would choose to help." Wren Swarm probes began entering orbit around the planet. Their movement was precise, coordinated, and threatening. But humans had an advantage: ingenuity, courage, and the ability to improvise in ways no machine could predict. Arya's crew prepared. Men's shields were at maximum. Mika armed decoys and diversions. Ren calculated maneuvers that would confuse and delay the swarm, and solely interfaced with the memory strand to extract every possible instruction left by Nail Rook. "Humans," Arya said quietly. "We've come this far. We help because it's right. We protect because it matters. Let's show them what we do best." The convoy moved forward as one, descending to the plateau. Arya guided them to a small facility, its doors long sealed but still functional. Using the memory strand's guidance, they unlocked the entrance, revealing a chamber filled with consoles, lights, and the soft hum of the echo engine. The engine itself was unassuming. A compact network core, glowing faintly with energy, humming in synchronization with the memory strand. Arya approached, feeling the familiar pull of human legacy. This was not a weapon. It was a bridge, a way to connect worlds through kindness, memory, and trust. Suddenly, a Ren swarm probe appeared in the doorway. Its sensors scanned the room, its purpose clear. "Take control." Arya stood firm. "We protect it," she said. "That's what humans do. Not with weapons alone, but with courage and cleverness. Stand ready." The crew rallied around her and the stage was set. Humans and allies prepared to defend not just a machine, but the principle of goodwill that the echo engine represented. The memory strand pulsed brighter, almost alive, as if it knew the test was beginning. And somewhere deep in the stars, the echo of a quiet favor awaited its return. Humans had reached HFY, and they were ready to face whatever came, not for glory, but because helping others was who they were. HFY's plateau stretched wide beneath Mend and the convoy, its rugged terrain covered with jagged rocks and patches of overgrown greenery. The remnants of human settlement stood quietly against the harsh landscape, small gardens growing amid the old metal structures. It was a place where history lingered, and humans had left a lasting mark. Arya Vel scanned the area with her binoculars, taking in every detail. "This is Hearthfall," she said softly, naming the settlement as Nail Rook had recorded it. "And it's where the echo engine was last safeguarded. We need to secure it before the Ren swarm reaches the system." Mika's hands flew over his console. "Sensors detect Ren swarm probes in orbit, Commander. They're closing fast and there's no way to hide them completely." Arya clenched her jaw. "Then we fight smart, not just hard. Humans don't just survive. We outthink, we outmaneuver, and we protect what matters." The convoy landed cautiously, using narrow canyons and natural ridges for cover. The memory strand pulsed, guiding Arya and her crew to the central chamber of the settlement. Inside, the familiar hum of the echo engine resonated through the walls. It was modest in appearance, a network core glowing with soft energy. Yet it carried the weight of countless acts of kindness across species. Suddenly, a Ren swarm probe crashed through the settlement's outer perimeter, scanning relentlessly. Its metallic surface shimmered, reflecting the faint light of the engine. Arya drew a deep breath. "Prepare defenses." Mika set up energy diversions. "Ren, guide the convoy into protected positions. Soli, coordinate with the memory strand. Let's show them what humans do best." The crew moved with precision. Mika rerouted power from dormant systems to create temporary energy shields. Ren maneuvered the convoy through narrow corridors, using walls and rocks to funnel the probes into traps. Soli interfaced with the memory strand, projecting faint lights and signals to confuse the swarm. Arya's eyes locked on the largest probe, its sensors scanning the engine directly. "I'll handle it," she said. Humans were never the strongest, but they were resourceful. With a clear mind and steady hands, she approached the probe, guiding men through the tight pathways. The probe systems attempted to override the engine's controls, but Arya spoke calmly, almost as if reasoning with it. "You were designed to exploit, but we are different. We protect. We connect. You cannot control what is built to help, not harm." Soli interfaced briefly with the probe, using recordings from Nail Rook's logs. The probe hesitated, its programming faltering as it tried to process human morality. In that brief moment, Arya maneuvered Mend close enough to shield the engine from further interference. Meanwhile, Tiki, the young refugee, helped distribute simple tools and messages to the convoy. Even in her small frame, she contributed to the human effort, carrying supplies and encouraging frightened crew members. Humans always found ways to include everyone, turning courage into collective strength. Voran, the Zoran leader, coordinated his ships in orbit, creating energy pulses that disrupted the swarm's sensors. The Kias, Empathic beings with the ability to sense intentions guided frightened convoy members through panic, calming them and helping them act as one. Arya felt a wave of pride. Humans had inspired loyalty, trust, and cooperation among species that normally would not have worked together. It was a quiet power, the kind that changed the course of history without force or destruction. The Wren swarm adapted quickly, splitting into multiple formations to try and flank the convoy. Arya's mind raced. "Use the terrain. Make them collide," she shouted. Mend and the convoy shifted positions, the engine at the center of their defensive pattern. Rocks and natural ridges funneled the probes into traps. Energy pulses from Voron's fleet created temporary blind spots. The memory strand pulsed in response, projecting holographic markers that misled the swarm into dead ends. Mika glanced at Arya. "They're getting through." "Not yet," Arya replied calmly. "Trust me, humans are stubborn when it matters. They never give up, and neither do we." Wren guided Mend into a narrow canyon, drawing several probes away from the engine. Using careful thrusts and timed diversions, he forced them into a cluster where Mika detonated a controlled energy pulse. The probes were disabled, scattered harmlessly across the rocks. The central chamber of Hearthfall remained untouched, and the echo engine hummed steadily, protected not by weapons alone but by ingenuity, courage, and collaboration. Arya glanced at the memory strand. It glowed brighter now, projecting an image of the past. Humans building Hearthfall, planting gardens, and leaving instructions for those who might come after. One line repeated in Nail Rook's calm, steady voice. "Help once, remember. Protect connection. Do not destroy." Arya smiled. "That's why we're here. That's why humans act." The Wren swarm retreated temporarily, regrouping in orbit. Their sensors had been confused, their patterns disrupted. For a moment, the humans and their allies breathed, knowing they had survived the first wave. But the threat was not gone. Voron's voice came through the comms. "Commander, our laws bind us. 10,000 small favors are now owed to your people. The favor you gave has been remembered, and we will repay it fully. The Wren swarm may return, but you are not alone." Arya nodded silently. Humans rarely sought glory. They acted because it was right. But recognition from other species reinforced the value of empathy and courage. It was not the reward that mattered, it was the principle. As night fell over Harawa, the crew took stock of their surroundings. Tiki wandered among the gardens, planting seeds she had carried from the convoy. Small flowers and vegetables sprouted among the ruins, a symbol of hope, life, and human care. Mika and Wren repaired Mend, checking systems and reinforcing shields. "We're ready for whatever comes next," Mika said, wiping sweat from his brow. Soli's voice was calm. "Commander, Wren swarm activity is decreasing but not ceasing. They will return. The echo engine remains vulnerable until fully secured." Arya's eyes met the engine's gentle glow. "Then we prepare. Humans always protect what matters, no matter the cost. That is who we are." In the early hours, as the convoy rested under the faint light of distant stars, the memory strand pulsed once more. Its glow projected an image not of the past but a warning. A small corrupted energy shard lodged within the system. If activated, it could alter the echo engine, bending memory and goodwill into control. Arya studied the image carefully. "We have a choice," she said quietly. "Destroy the shard and lose Nail's work, or cleanse it and risk the Wren swarm tracing our signal. Humans always choose to protect life and legacy. That's what we'll do." The crew gathered around, their faces set with determination. Mika and Wren adjusted shields and power conduits. Tiki handed out small tools to assist in the cleansing procedure. Soli interfaced with the memory strand, amplifying its protective pulse. "Everyone ready?" Arya asked. A chorus of nods and quiet affirmations answered her. Humans and their allies, different species united by courage, empathy, and trust, prepared to act. Arya touched the memory strand bead at her side. It pulsed strongly, as if understanding the weight of the moment. "We help, we protect, we remember." That is human work. The cleansing began. Energy flowed through the shard, carefully guided by Nail's logs, the memory strand's instructions, and human ingenuity. It was a delicate task, requiring precision, patience, and trust. One wrong move could trigger disaster, but Arya's hands were steady. Humans thrived in such moments of responsibility. As the shard transformed, the pulse of the echo engine expanded, resonating throughout the plateau. The Wren swarm attempted one final assault, but their patterns faltered. They could not anticipate the creativity, courage, and cooperation of humans and allies working together. Their systems were confused by the collective ingenuity and empathy of the defenders. At last, the shard was cleansed. The echo engine hummed clearly, its network restored to purpose. Humans had succeeded not by destruction but by careful planning, empathy, and unwavering courage. Arya looked at her crew. This is what humans do. We help, we protect, and we never forget. And sometimes the favor we return can save more than a single life. Voron's voice echoed over the comms. The favor is complete, Commander. The memory strand now carries your deeds across the galaxy. Humanity's courage is honored. Tiki planted the last seed in the small garden. We did it, she said softly. Yes, Arya replied, smiling. And we will continue to do it. Humans are never done helping. That is our way. The Wren swarm retreated completely, confused and unable to comprehend the network of goodwill and ingenuity humans had created. Hearthfall was safe and the echo engine remained protected. Above HFY, the stars shone quietly, reflecting the courage, empathy, and brilliance of a single human crew and the small favors they had returned across the galaxy. And in that quiet moment, Arya realized something profound. Helping once could ripple across space and time, changing the course of history in ways no one could predict. Humans remembered kindness and they returned it, not for reward but because it was the right thing to do. Hearthfall's plateau lay quiet under HFY's soft orange light. The rugged terrain, once scarred by the Wren swarm assault, now held a renewed sense of peace. The echo engine pulsed steadily at the center of the settlement, its network flowing across the system like a silent heartbeat. Humans had not only protected it, they had preserved its purpose. Arya Vel stood at the edge of the plateau, watching as her crew and the convoy prepared for departure. The memory strand's light shimmered faintly, projecting a network of connections across the stars. Each pulse represented a favor returned, a life saved, or a moment of trust shared. Voron's voice echoed over the comms, calm yet sincere. Commander, your actions have been recorded. Humanity's courage will be remembered across generations. The favor you gave has returned manyfold. Arya smiled. We didn't act for recognition. Humans act because it is right, because helping others strengthens the future. That is who we are. Mika approached, carrying tools and worn panels from men's systems. So at what now? Wren swarm gone, engine safe. Do we go home? Not yet, Arya replied. We follow the ripple. The memory strand shows other networks that need protection. There are acts of kindness waiting to be honored, systems in peril, and lives that still depend on humans doing what humans do best. Tiki, now more confident than ever, looked up at Arya. Are we really that important? Arya knelt beside her, placing a hand on the young girl's shoulder. Every act of help matters. You saw how one small favor, our decision to save that freighter, changed everything. We're human, Tiki, we remember. And when we return a favor, it can reach farther than anyone imagines. Soli's soft glow reflected in the terminal panels. Commander, sensors indicate multiple civilizations are responding to the echo engine's restored network. The memory strand is sending subtle signals to worlds previously unaware of the favor returned. Many species will act in cooperation without realizing why. Arya's eyes widened. The favor is spreading, not just in gratitude but in action. The kindness we returned is inspiring others to do the same. Humans don't just help directly. We create ripples that touch the galaxy. Wren, ever practical, tapped the console. Commander, new trajectories are opening. Some lead to uncharted systems, some toward known colonies. Which path do we take? Arya took a deep breath. We start small, lead the convoy safely to the nearest system. Each act of protection matters. Then we follow the memory strand wherever it guides. Humans trust each other and their allies. That trust will carry us forward. As the convoy began its journey, a sudden communication arrived from one of the distant species helped during their trek. A fleet of Xylar merchants, fragile beings who had once doubted humans. They had come to offer aid, supplies, and protection. Voron's voice resonated with admiration. Commander, humanity inspires loyalty. Your courage and help created alliances across species that would not have formed otherwise. Even the most unlikely will join when humans lead with integrity. Arya looked over the fleet, feeling a profound sense of responsibility. Humans were not the strongest physically, but their hearts, their ability to act rightly, and their ingenuity were unmatched. That strength had saved lives, preserved the echo engine, and now was inspiring an entire network of civilizations. Mika leaned back, shaking his head. I still can't believe it. One favor, and now fleets from all over are moving to protect what we saved. It's like we set off a chain reaction. Yes, Arya said softly. Humans do that. One act of help can ripple across the stars. Others will remember. Others will act. And the galaxy becomes better for it. The convoy reached a safe corridor where the Wren swarm had retreated beyond sensor range. Arya allowed herself a small smile. For now, the immediate threat was gone and the Echo Engine's purpose was secure. But the journey of influence had only begun. Tiki approached the bead in Arya's pocket. It's still glowing. Arya took it out, letting it pulse softly in her palm. It's a reminder. Every favor given, every life saved, every act of courage, humans never forget. And sometimes the universe remembers for them. Suddenly, a new signal appeared on the scanners. A human ship long thought lost, drifting near an asteroid belt. Its systems were failing, its crew frightened and helpless. Arya's heart raced. Humans acted first, and she would not hesitate. Prepare a rescue, she ordered. We're going to save them. That's what humans do. The convoy shifted, men leading the way through the debris. Arya guided the ship with care, threading between jagged asteroids. The memory strand pulsed, seemingly encouraging their efforts. Mend reached the stranded vessel. Mika extended a tether, carefully securing the ship. Ren coordinated the thrusters, nudging the fragile craft free from danger. Solely calculated every maneuver to prevent collision. The rescued crew looked at Arya with awe. Why help us? One asked. Arya smiled warmly. Because humans remember kindness. Because helping is stronger than fear. Because one life matters and saving it changes everything. The rescued crew joined the convoy, adding their gratitude and skill to the effort. The ripple grew stronger, a chain of goodwill stretching across the stars. Boren's voice came through once more. Commander, your deeds are echoing through civilizations. The memory strand now carries the proof of human courage and empathy to species far beyond our sector. Humanity's name will be remembered not for war or conquest, but for the acts of help that shaped the galaxy. Arya felt a warmth in her chest. Humans were not always the largest or the most powerful, but their ability to act rightly, courageously, and creatively ensured their influence was profound. Tiki tugged at Arya's sleeve. Will this ripple ever stop? Arya shook her head, smiling. No, Tiki, every act of help plants a seed. That seed grows into trust, courage, and cooperation, and those who receive help often return it, creating new ripples. The universe remembers humans because of that. Mika leaned over the console, pointing at the scanners. Commander, look. Ships from species we helped earlier are now coordinating, protecting trade lanes, sharing supplies. Entire sectors are safer because of us. Arya's eyes softened. That is the power of helping first. Not for glory, not for reward, but because it is right. That is human work. That is why humans are never forgotten. As the convoy moved on, the memory strand pulsed one last time in a brilliant glow, projecting a network of light that stretched beyond HFY, connecting worlds, fleets, and civilizations. Each pulse carried a message: help, protect, and remember. In the quiet of space, Arya looked at her crew. We started by helping a freighter, and now the universe itself remembers. That is the true measure of human courage. Ren smiled. Never thought a simple act could, echo across the stars like this. Arya chuckled softly. Humans always surprise the galaxy. One act of help can change everything if you have the courage to do it. Tiki placed a hand on the glowing bead. I think I understand now. Helping is stronger than anything else. Yes, Arya replied. It is, and when we help, the universe helps in return, sometimes in ways we cannot imagine. Remember that, Tiki. That is the human way. The convoy continued its journey, the stars stretching endlessly before them. The memory strand hummed softly, a symbol of acts returned and favors remembered. Everywhere they traveled, humans left a mark, not of conquest, not of power, but of courage, empathy, and ingenuity. And in the quiet corridors of space, where stars shone like distant promises, one simple truth echoed: help a human once, they'll never forget, and their return might just blow your mind. Arya Vel smiled, watching the ripple of human influence spread across the galaxy. Whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever dangers arose, humans would continue to act. Because courage, kindness, and cleverness were traits no enemy, no obstacle could ever erase. The convoy sailed on, guided by the pulse of the memory strand, carrying the legacy of humanity through the stars. And the galaxy, wide and infinite, remembered.